Marfoogle TV going live in 3. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. So we are going to talk about the church, and we're going to talk about specifically the Church of England, essentially talking to all the soldiers and saying that everyone is preparing for a war, and the public is not being told. So we'll go over that here in just a minute. But there's also a picture that everybody should have painted and should take their, opinion and really, really look at both sides of this. But this is really, really scary. And I understand that there are some that are really kind of wavy on their support for the president right now. But I really wonder what the hell is going on that we need all of these things being implemented. So we're going to go over this. This is actually a Ron Paul piece. So first understand that this first piece is Ron Paul, but the second is actually directly from RFK. And the third is actually from ICE and what they're doing. So it does paint a very, very clear picture of what is about to happen. Now, we've talked about the ugly surveillance, state that has been kind of pushing up, as far as we've talked about the president creating a system that would have a database on every single American. That includes information from their health records, from everything. I mean, anything you can even imagine. We're talking about a database that would essentially have all of that information available to the very top ups. Now, this is a piece, and I do want to read a part of this because there were some good points in here. Now, it said President Trump has signed an executive order eliminating information silos. The order directed heads of federal agencies to make sure that officials designated by the president have full and prompt access to unclassified agency records, data, software systems, and information and technology systems. The executive order did not attract much attention until it was more recently revealed that the administration was working with the tech company Palantir to create a database containing all information. Now, you guys know we covered Palantir way before the president was working with it, and we've said this is really scary stuff. This is AI. This is, this is a kind of a company that is connected with some of the very, very evil entities, right? At least that was the opinion of many. A database consisting of all of the information of American citizens collected by various federal agencies, such as the Social Security Administration, the Department of Health and Human Services, the Pentagon, would be a major step in creating a total surveillance state. This database would come in handy in future to Dr. F's, right? The guy who was telling us what to do during 2019, seeking to enforce different mandates, right? Those with access to this database could see personal health records, education records, and tax returns. They may even be able to see how many firearm individuals own and purchased if they were associated with any organizations the government had labeled extremist. Despite the obvious threat to liberty, the big ugly database poses some commentators and influencers, like people like myself and other, creators who would normally oppose or at least be skeptical of expansion of the surveillance state, are supporting it because they believe it will be used to locate illegal immigrants. It says some conservatives are supporting the proposal because it will help identify students who have publicly opposed the U.S. government's support for Israel action in the Strip. So now, again, he mentions this is another little part that I actually remember. And again, it says an obvious example is the way many former friends of freedom supported the Patriot Act and other infringements on liberty following September 11. Now, one thing Ron Paul has done here, he's made a very excellent point. And I will always say, it doesn't matter who it is. If they make an excellent point, I will point it out. The point is with the Patriot Act, this was something that was done out of safety. It was something that, we're afraid of something, so then we end up infringing on freedoms, but because we outweigh the freedoms with a feeling of safety, right? The Patriot Act has put in all sorts of things. In 2012, we really realized how bad it was when Edward Snowden essentially blew the whistle on all of the stuff that was happening. They absolutely were tracking and tracing everything we were doing. Now, I'm sure they're still doing this, and some people will be like, oh, they're already doing this. But now people at lower levels and people that are entrusted will be able to access all of this information. who knows if the thing is, though, is in the 4 years now, we might trust the people that are in charge, but if the same system is in place in the next 4 years or the 4 years after that, and they've decided that whoever you are part of these bad groups, that's something that's very scary. Because during the last 4 years, heck, we had a lot of people that we knew lost their discords because they felt those discords were something horrible, when in reality they weren't bad discords at all. They were just people talking, but they were the wrong people talking. They were the people that supported the wrong person. So again, this is something that, could really bite us in the butt later. Now, this is not all of it either. Again, we're going to talk about RFK's plan to put a device on every hand. Again, some people are saying, this, and some people are saying that. We'll go over that here in a second. But again, this whole thing is absolutely nuts. Now, again, before we end up doing that, I do want to point out, too, I'm going to keep my opinion until the end because this is some pretty scary stuff. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. Under the golden dome, wonder the flag above ya, is it the same one you think you under? I said all right, guys, and bear with me. I have a really, really horrible headache, so I'm not on top of everything, but let me go. We're going to first bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
Okay, and real quick, Sweating Ministry says, last message for the night, prep physically but also spiritually. Having a relationship with Jesus is important. Keep looking up. Jesus is at the door. Sweating, thank you for supporting Independent, and thank you so much for making it to yet another show. I don't know, again, if you'll be here for the rest of the night, but again, thank you for stopping in at the beginning. And then says 13 months, yay, just hit 13 months as a member. And then Milos Schaefer says, real name is Miles. Thanks, Foogle fam. OHIO. Thank you, Milos, and I appreciate the support. And then Carol, lots of love to all. Thank you for the early super. I appreciate it. Again, thank you, and thank you. Now, again, so the database is one thing. So at the same time as all of this is happening, and this very well could be because media is looking for everything and they're trying to connect the dots. But these are dots that are pretty hard not to connect. Now, I also want to put the devil's advocate part of this, and I also want to put, what most conservatives are thinking all of this is for. But again, RFK is actually suggesting that the government help pay for devices. Dex, do you want to go over that and what the other side of that is?
Right. So he was speaking at a House hearing, and he was saying that part of his key to the Make America Healthy Again agenda is around devices like Apple Watch, Fitbit, Whoop, and the Oura Ring, which these are all in the category of wearables. There's like a whole lot of different wearable technology that's out there today. He said the technology can help people lose weight, exercise more regularly, as well as take control of their health and encourage good judgment about their diets and their physical activity, about the way they live their lives. And in an effort to get smartwatch rings or monitors in every American, RFK Jr. said he is planning to launch one of the biggest advertising campaigns in history to encourage more people to wear devices. And he said that they're even exploring how the government could help pay for devices for some Americans. So I think, one of the things that I know comes to mind is as we think about what they have been doing with Real ID, and making this federal based ID system, and things like Apple leading the way with the Apple Wallet and putting US passports and digital IDs in that, which they've actually started accepting now in TSA checkpoints. The more we start to see this marriage of things like database of everybody, wearable or technology that you have on you at all times, identification, and making it convenient to use that digital identification on those devices everywhere you go, really starts to paint this picture that I know a lot of people are concerned about.
Now, also, you've probably seen recently, and I think the timing is kind of odd too, there's been a lot of videos on TikTok and a lot of videos in general about these smart devices, specifically Apple Watches, and people that are having issues. They claim that there are issues once they wear their smartwatches, that they're having problems with menstrual cycles, that they're having issues with other things, that some are believing that their cancers are caused by having these devices. Now, we've talked about this for a very long time. You shouldn't be holding up your cell phone to your head, right? There's lots of bad radiation that's going into these things. And pretty much everybody always is constantly right at their hip. People have had issues where they're having marks, and this was the trend, right? People were saying that they were getting this mark on their wrist, essentially where this device was, that there was a mole that all of a sudden formed, and everybody was like, oh my gosh, I have one too. And everybody started posting videos of how all of these people right where they wear their smartwatch had this thing on. I'm not saying that that's confirmed as true or not, but I'm just saying that's the trend, right? So people have been talking about this in the last 3 weeks, specifically about the smartwatches. Now he comes out and says something about the smartwatches. And there's a bigger picture too to know and to understand. There's even a story tonight later about the UK and about the stories. They're basically saying that immigrants, that this was some sort of destabilization tactics by our enemies. Well, I kind of say no duh to that, right? Well, then you think about what happened here in the last 4 years and how it was encouraged and it was brought in. And then you think of the people that were saying that and you go, wow, those people very well could have been secret agents or, double agents, or they were people that were basically being paid by whoever's trying to destabilize us to say, yeah, come on in. Oh, yeah, we'll even get you plane trips here. It was very, very odd. But with these devices, here's the other part of it. I know people that have essentially, they say that it's fixed their sleep schedules, or they had horrible sleep, and they say that the smartwatch helped them, that they were able to get their, hormones in check. They found out that they weren't sleeping and things like that. And you have other devices, the future, we've covered this, where they want to have things in our toilets that actually track our poo, no joke, and be able to detect cancer early and things like this. There's the good side of technology that some have talked about in our sphere. With these, I have a hard time. My personal opinion on the devices is I've worn them before. I had the Samsung Smartwatch 2 or whatever years ago. I still have it. I don't wear it very often. But again, I've always thought that these things are bad. And I've always thought that they have, the radiation going from the phone is also going to the watches. Especially some of these watches have SIM cards and even can, make calls and things. So I always thought, you shouldn't really wear it all the time. There's smaller rings. I don't know if there's ways or devices that they could do that will be less harmful or proven to not be harmful. But also the fact that people are talking about tracking in general, tracking every American. It also made me think of mass fatality tracking system, right? It was something the DHS, I think, was talking about, and they were asking different companies to come up with a mass fatality tracking system. Well, what if you had one of these on, or a metal ring that was able to be tracked after a massive event? I thought about that too. Or what if there was something here where, say, eventually what if we got invaded, where the U.S. government could track the U.S. citizens in the event of an invasion and help protect them with the help of these devices or something. There's a lot of devil's advocate, different angles you could go here, but most of them people are agreeing with because of the president, and he's saying hey, well, why would the president be doing this? Does he have a secret evil agenda, or do they have something that they know about that we don't? That's the other thing. What if something is about to happen and they are doing this because they are literally trying to combat something that is massive? And every other angle. So here's the next piece to this puzzle. And again, I hope that this is not what it looks like. And I'm really wondering, is there another angle here that they are scared of something and that's why they are doing this? That the ICE thing is so important. The last 4 years, we know that it was very odd that everybody, all of these, people that everybody assumed were just out for evil, the same ones that got pardons that go from this year to this year, all of them were saying, yeah, come on in, come on in. All of the property bought right next to the U.S. bases, all of these things happening. ICE is using a new facial recognition app to identify people, leaked emails show. Now, imagine they have access to a special government app where they can just point their phone at you and they can see all of your information. Think about if this is coordinated with that big, ugly database. Dex, this is something too that people are like, if you look at this between the facial recognition, which is already being implemented in different cities, the big database, and the smart devices, it really doesn't paint a very good picture. But yet people are saying, well, now for our safety and against these big bad cartel members or people that are getting paid by the very evil ones, it's like they're saying, oh, this is a good thing. I see both sides on this, and all of these things I don't like.
Well, and what's crazy is this type of technology is not limited to some high-end camera system with some big back end. It's being deployed on smartphones. So every military or law enforcement officer or anywhere could, in theory, tap into such technology or have the technology. It's not just going to be limited to ICE. It's going to be available to anyone. And it's been out there for a while, but the fact that it's now an app, it's literally just pull out your iPhone, pull out your Android, snap a picture, and instantly get facial recognition that's relevant, information about that person for the government to know. That's pretty powerful system when you think about it.
Now, somebody says, Dwayne says, I won't be wearing anything smart. Again, I won't even drink smart water. Big, beautiful database. Yeah. Thank you for the correction. And then Real ID, as far as police cars already read license plates. And if you have a driver's license, they already have your facial recognition. Well, another thing to point out is your cell phone, right? People think that this is a separate thing. Well, we know, and we've covered this, where the cell phone companies essentially use a loophole, or the government use a loophole. They're not supposed to be tracking and tracing the United States citizens, right? But if they buy the information, that's a different story. They can go to the cell phone companies and then buy your information. Well, guess what's on your phone? All these people, for security reasons, because you're afraid somebody's going to get into your photos or your phone or steal your $1,500 phone, everybody is going, oh, let me do facial recognition for security. Let me do my fingerprint. Let me do my favorite 4-digit code. All of these things are in there, right? As far as that phone, it's just so crazy that we evolved into having these cell phones. Every single person has them. It's like an attachment of themselves, right? People don't even have home phones anymore. My middle sister was one of the first ones we knew that replaced their home phone and just completely went cell phone. This was back when minutes actually costed money, and it didn't make sense. It was like, what? Again, and I remember it was like that cell phone was their house, but it was my sister, and then everybody else had theirs, but it was like if you wanted to get a hold of that household, you would call that one phone, and I thought it was wild. Well, now every single person, I mean, it's really hard to find one that's not. And then when you also see the government intervene and go, yeah, people need phones, and then the Obama phones came out, and it's like every single person, no matter how much money they have, has a cell phone. Now cell phones are so cheap and loaded with bloatware and all sorts of scary stuff that anyone can afford them. I mean, you can literally go buy a $15 cell phone with a touchscreen now. And that's because they loaded up with bloatware and ads and all of this. And I mean, who can't scrounge up $15? People can literally sit on a corner and say, anything helps, and they can get themselves a cell phone. So this is something where you really have to look at it from both directions. And I hope that people aren't blinded by the fact, like, the president, we just did a survey on him last night. 75% of people appreciate what the president is doing and think he's doing a good job. With this, I have to say, I am pretty nervous about all three of these things, but it makes me wonder, is there something that is so horrendous coming where they need this? where they're looking at the options. Is it, are they sitting in the situation room and they're like, we're going to have to do things that people aren't going to like because there is a huge threat, right? What is the threat? All of these people that came in the 4 years, it would make a whole lot of sense. And my theory has been that all of these people came in, the Chinese foreign nationals that were all military age coming in, that this was a massive threat and that it is a secret threat and it's something that 95% of people in this country, probably 99, do not even know exists, right? All of these foreign nationals that came in from the adversarial countries that all just picked their time and just boom, they flooded in like armies. Again, I said it probably won't be paratroopers dropping in if there was an invasion. It would be like tap, tap, tap on your shoulder, and we're already here. So what do you guys think about that? I would love to hear your opinion about it. Let me know. Sweating Ministries, thank you for the super. I appreciate it. Thank you for supporting independence. It's something you may not know about, but Bibi has agreed to a two-state solution with a reformed Hasdine. Dan927, the Antichrist will make this stronger. Mob on the rise plus the rapture. This tech will be used to track Christians. That's the other thing. RFK suggesting everybody wear a device on their hand. Some are looking at that as the mark is the beast, the mark of the beast. And the whole Antichrist and the thing in general. The Antichrist will be liked. The Antichrist will be somebody everybody loves. But that's what people have been claiming for years. I think that a lot of people would be pretty, against saying that that's the case. But with these things going into play, it is kind of crazy. And it makes me wonder if he's deciding to do something that he must know people are absolutely going to hate, especially in his own party, then is there something that's so bad that he is thinking that this is the good decision? I don't think he's too money hungry. I think it's not about money. God Soldier, thank you. God Soldier 56, thank you for the support. Again, thank you. All right, and before we move on, make sure to go check out EMP Shield. This is a device that specifically all of these different waves and different things that are happening. You should definitely, look into Faraday bags for your phone and things like that, especially if you don't want to be tracked. But as far as your cars, trucks, motorcycles, and boats, if you want to protect them against a possible EMP attack or electromagnetic pulse attack, then you definitely want to have one of these EMP shields on them. They're very easy to put in. It takes 10 minutes, red to red on your battery, black to black on your battery, and green to ground. And then you just put it in the part of your chassis. You just bolt it right into the side, and then you're protected. This is going to ground the signal of an EMP attack or a Carrington-level event from the sun in less than 500 trillionths of a second. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP and make sure you use the code MARF. This is the same agency that is helping quietly protect DHS and U.S. Air Force and FBI and DOD and the Dempster team helping protect the Texas grid. So again, check it out, marfooglenews.com/EMP. And code MARF will get you $50 off per device and help out our channel at the same time. All right, Dex, let's go into Britain's migrant crisis being fueled by Putin's Russia and other hostile states in a secret plot to destabilize UK. Duh.
Well, so more than 18,000 have arrived in dinghies so far this year, and opposition MPs said the crossing should now be declared a national security crisis. This is in the UK. Senior security sources warned the Sun that the foreign powers are backing or exploiting the smuggling gangs in a bid to destabilize Britain. So it's interesting that that's the position that they're taking. We've seen that message before, used before in other forms around the use of migration across borders. But this week, NATO recognized illegal migration as a key threat to national security now. Imagine that. That wasn't an issue like before the current president was in office. Back then, it was, you were wrong if you didn't think those borders were supposed to be wide open. But now NATO is saying it is a key national security threat. Ruling the border protection can count towards every member's defense spending targets for the first time. So I guess that nice 5% they can spend now on border security. Which we've seen Finland and others spend a lot building their walls, so to speak, against Russia to prevent the migrations that were happening on their lines. So thousands of asylum seekers are being housed in hotels, increasing tensions in towns and cities. Some have been charged with national security offenses as well as such heinous crimes. Um, According to the sources, they're saying the hostile states and the malign actors are using illegal migration to test borders, cause disruption, and destabilize countries like Britain. So that's the narrative now that's now coming out of the UK, as it was once totally different.
Did you notice that one of the smugglers here is got a bright shiny gold watch? You know, these guys are probably making super bank, but I also wondered, are part of these guys, which almost all of these are men that you can see, what if these are not just migrants looking for a better life? What if this is an army? You know, what better way to sneak into the country a little bit at a time? And especially if you have people on the inside of the government saying, hey, no, we'll help. We're going to do this, and we'll actually set it up so they'll have money. They'll have, here in the United States, at least, they have food stamps. They have a place to stay. I mean, it just seems very coordinated. The whole thing is something that you have to ask the question. This is happening coordinated in UK and in the US just in the last 5 or 6 years. I mean, we're talking about tens and tens and tens of thousands of people coming in this exact same fashion, and both the rumors, open source information suggests that there's going to be some sort of attack, not only here in the U.S. but also in Europe, where this is all going to be coordinated. Now, say there's 30 or 40 people on this boat, which is insane. Say 30 of them are people that are just looking for a better life. Well, those 10 people fit right in. They blend right in, and those 10 people may be soldiers. Those 10 people might be part of a brigade. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Again, I think this is a big duh. I thought this the whole time. People then thought that, they were bringing in people so that they would be able to win a certain 2-person contest. But I'm thinking, 18 to 25-year-old males coming in, all buzz cuts out in military fatigues, kind of says something, right? And then all of those people that suggested that happened, did you know that most of the people on the pardon list were those same people that were saying, yeah, come on in, and these people need to have a life here? I mean, could you imagine just having no conscience at all? And if that was the case, if you truly helped in the destruction of your own country, that would be pretty bad. And then Church of England prepares for serious war involving UK. Now, the Church of England, and in specific, this gentleman has actually talked to many, many military bases. Again, the Church of England is readying for a major war by drawing up plans to supporting a nation during a serious conflict involving UK, and to make it simpler to appoint military chaplains. Again, to make it simpler to appoint military chaplains. The guys who come in and say, oh, God bless this dead body, right? The Right Reverend Hugh Nelson, the Bishop of the Armed Forces, said on Monday, I've been hearing as I've traveled around military establishments and spoken to armed forces personnel all over the past 2 years at least, of rising concern of the threat of very, very serious conflict, including conflict that involves the UK. He said that the church must do everything we can to pray and to work to advocate for peace, but added that they must also face the reality and put in place, or at least begin to have conversations about putting in place plans of how the church might need to respond to and be if there is a serious conflict. Nelson said that the church would take inspiration from the leadership provided by archbishops and bishops during the Second World War. How many examples do you need where they are directly aligning this, exactly what is happening right now, with World War II and World War I? It is history repeating itself, and they're even looking at history and they're going, okay, well, they did this, this, and this during that time. We need to start doing that. We've been warning this for a very long time. We're not going to kick a dead horse, but people should have a basic plan of what they would do if we get into a conflict. Again, they're talking about the church having a formal war footing. Dex, what did you think when you hear, and this archbishop has literally traveled to, I think, 65 bases or something like that. So everywhere, all of these bases are talking about war.
Yeah. I mean, look, they're going to have all the parishes. They're going to be given a suite of resources to help them understand how to operate in a quote, a church in a time of conflict. And this is being proposed right now. The churches will need to think about the need for special reflection and prayer spaces in the church if they face an influx of people anxious about the war. They'll need to work with the schools to issue peace, war, and conflict, and to prepare the children for that prospect. So yeah, they are trying to get ahead of the game, but at the same time, they're saying the game is here.
Yeah, this is something where you have them preparing for something that is very obvious. You know, everybody's focused on Iran and, oh, we'll have this peace deal. Seems to me like Iran is stalling again. Iran is saying, oh, yeah, no, we got a victory, all of this. How could they take such a humiliating hit like that unless there's something that's coming down the road where they're going to say, ha, you're laughing now, but we're going to get the last laugh, right? Something just seems super off about this entire thing. Inquiring Minds, thank you for gifting out 10 badges to other members of the Foogle fam. That is really incredible. Thank you, Inquiring Minds. And then Stephanie Cook, thank you for hitting 23 months. You got 1 month and you'll hit 2 years. It says, why is that picture from 2008? Propaganda odd. Well, again, yeah, good question. That's a very good question. Let's see here. You're talking about the guys on the boats. Well, it's hard. One thing I will say is I've got a friend in Border Patrol. It's hard to catch pictures of it. And if you do get pictures of it, it's usually the guys that get caught. But as somebody who knows several journalists, sometimes you just got to use the picture that you can without using copyright. I've had to use old pictures to represent something because the other ones are all owned by, what is that company that tried to keep coming at us about stupid pictures on our website? The stupid copyright company.
Yeah, the trolls.
The trolls.
Copyright trolls.
Yeah, man. The copyright trolls are horrible. So I will say this. From the angle of covering news, it's been pretty bad. I mean, they'll even... I've had trolls try to get me for copyright on an image I took. Literally, an image I took during CV of the those bases where they were housing people. Remember with that when I went to the actual, some of the first places, the trailers where they were keeping people, some of the first quarantined? It was like I took a picture with my camera, and one of them was a still from a video I took, and they were trying to hit me for that, for copyright. They're like, oh, that's just AP or whatever. I'm like, no, it's not. That's my freaking camera, dude. So
same thing with music. They hit the jams channel all the time for music that you create that has absolutely no semblance to the song they claim it to be.
Yeah, a song where I'm like with my mouth, and they're like, "Oh, you're trying to copy Eminem." It's like, no, I'm not. Heck, the reason why jams got put into play is because I was tired of getting hit with freaking copyright claims. So again, I guess touchy subject for us, but Kat, thank you so much. I appreciate your support. I appreciate everybody that supports our independent channel. Again, being on your own is not fun on the back end. Thank you, Stephanie Cook. Clergy with Army from 2008. It says on pic. Oh, clergy. Okay, so, well, this picture is from 1914. I know what one you're talking about it from there. The Right Reverend Hugh Nelson. Oh, 2008. Oh, so I don't know if they're well, because this is specifically trying to find him with the bases, and there's not that many pictures of him. This is the actually Nicholas Cook. So he just might not have that many pictures of him with an army. If they're writing a piece on something, they want a visual to show you. That's my guess. If this was the other story of the people getting out of the boat, that I would find more likely to be propaganda if they used old pictures, right? But with this, it's a gentleman that they're trying to get images of the actual guy doing stuff. So yeah, that's one of the gentlemen, and then the bishop, Reverend Hugh Nelson. I would say Google clergy blessing soldiers, and then see how many pictures you can actually find that would be relevant. It's probably harder than you think. All right, and then Jen, Planet X is the lie to cover up their technology of closing the global, of course, the heating of the planet. All this is so they can bring the beast in the 2030 end. So, Jen, you may be right. And maybe in 2029, before all that happens, all the rich people will take off to Mars. We will see. And maybe that's why they're trying to go to Mars, because our planet's going to be absolutely wiped out. Who knows? What I do know is that they are preparing for a massive war, and it very well could be to be covering something even more massive. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. And then panic as a flaming object is seen streaking through the sky in multiple U.S. states. If you guys saw this, I just want to remind you, make sure if you got video of this, and I think it shows the time that this happened, if you check your doorbell cams or whatever cameras you have on your house and you have this on video, send it to us. If there's ever any kind of video like this, try to send it to us because we would love to show it on the show. But Dex,
12:20 Eastern, and it was in the southeast from like Tennessee down to Atlanta. And I unfortunately was indoors and didn't know. I missed it, but I got word of a bunch of people talking about hearing. A lot of people had heard like a boom or a sound or a horrific sound through the sky, and then other people saw it. They said they saw the streak, and you could see it here in a handful of the pictures that are in the article that have been captured from Atlanta and other locations. But yeah, something came in. Everybody's speculating on what it is. Yeah, during the day. So very bright for it to be seen during the day. Very big, obviously. Of course, I think some weather people, weathermen had come out and said, "Oh, it's debris from a comet trail. It's just meteors coming in." That was what some have speculated. Others have suggested it might be old space junk. But we don't know. We don't know for sure yet. I don't know if there's an official, and even if there is an official, I mean, who decides on the official? But apparently something did land. I think that was the other thing. They said they heard a boom. So there could be an actual
satellite
location.
What if this was a test to take out satellites? To see it during the day, it's pretty hard to see in a blue sky, which this is even surprising. Look at the sky. Where is this at? This isn't George. Wait, Dex, George, do you guys see blue skies?
Yeah.
Gosh, I remember
when they're not cloudy.
I'm trying to think. When I was 9 years old. Yeah, I'm trying to think the last time I saw blue sky without streaks through it. No, maybe I was 3. Maybe I was in the uterus. Yeah, but I guess that wasn't me. That was my mom. Yeah, this is actually amazing. This is quite rare. This should be on a trading card. If it was, it would be like, worth more than a Pokemon card. Wow, look at that. A blue sky. The sky is blue? This is nuts. I always thought it was like, green or something.
We have an every other day policy down here in Georgia.
Every other day? Yeah. And then Zoran Mamdani. Zorana Mamadane. Surprise New York City mayoral primary victory came from these neighborhoods and a far broader coalition. Now, you're East Coast. Why don't you talk about this New York City guy? Because I briefly mentioned the other day, or maybe it was last night.
Yeah, last night.
Yeah. So go over and what the controversy is and what's going on.
Okay. So on one side, there's a lot of people that have a lot of concern with his socialistic views and maybe even to some extent his religious background for those that don't like that. But nonetheless, there's also this whole idea that he sort of swooped out of nowhere, was I think a rap producer or something like that, and then businessman, done some other things, but apparently is just taking New York by storm and won a whole bunch of areas and took out Cuomo and is basically the primary candidate now for the Democrats there. And it's pretty I guess quick to happen, and a lot of people are concerned about the philosophy and what it's going to do to the city and if there's any significant changes based on his positions. And so yeah, that's the concern. There's a lot of controversy around it. I'll just leave it at that. I don't have any personally. I don't know the guy. I don't know other than what's just being reported. But yeah, he has never ran a huge budget. I mean, like the budget for New York City is massive. Like this guy doesn't have any experience at running that, any experience at running a large organization or anything. Whether it be government or
Well,
even in
that
the
doesn't
business world.
that doesn't
That doesn't
matter.
mean much, but
Yeah, now, because obviously that was the argument with many people on the other side. It's like people now it's a popularity contest. He's looks like he's also possibly going to be an Abercrombie and Snitch model or something.
yeah,
And he's got quite a claw there. But
and I was just going to say that he's I forgot what I was going to say, but basically the fact that he's come out of nowhere and is even winning in areas where they're saying he's winning in areas where even the religious contention wouldn't be an issue, right? Or should be an issue, and it's not. That was some of the interesting things that are coming from it. But it is very much a change in the way New York is going, and New York's had a lot of shifts over the years. So we'll have to see what plays from it.
what I want to know is what in the world was this what is this? Is that just a super long arm? Like what kind of shadow is that? It's like somebody else is waving, like they're like, "Oh, the cameras are here." Ha! Oh, you're looking at that guy. What the heck is that? Is that a bird? Is that like a cartoon stork looking over him? What the hell is that? God, what a weird photo. Yeah, look.
They even
Go ahead.
I was gonna say they even say now that Cuomo lost, he might actually run as an independent just to try to get back in.
Well, Como losing, that's not a surprise, but as far as this guy, he also wanted to he talked about the 800% what was it? The 800% money, or he wanted to put money into 800% increase in what? What was the increase? Do you remember what that was? Oh, jeez.
No, I don't remember that stat.
It was like tracking to, oh my gosh. It was just yesterday. Let's see. What's his let's see here. Do you guys remember it? Let's go to the chat. You guys remember it. What he wanted to increase something by 800%. Let's see here. Do you guys remember? He wanted to track. Oh, hate speech. That's right. Kimberly, I'm thinking like, yes, he wanted to track different stuff like hate speech and put something into play that would absolutely wipe it out, and to, the tracking, or not the tracking of it, the resources put towards it.
800% increase in funding for hate crime prevention programs. So that would be tracking and everything else.
Yep. So yeah. So not everybody's happy about that part. And before we move on, make sure to go check out My Patriot Supply. This is our recommendation if you are looking to actually get food and to have something that you can keep through a disaster. And this could be through, a tornado, or again, a hurricane, an earthquake, whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be the end of the world. It is an incredibly smart thing to do, to have food on hand. This is freeze-dried food, so not only is it going to last a long time, 25 years, but it also preserves much of the nutrients and much of the flavor inside of it. The freeze-drying, the actual way to freeze-dry, and the form of doing this also saves a whole lot of space. It essentially minimizes the actual volume of the food to basically the most minimal space taken. And then it's sealed in Mylar bags and then in buckets. So you can actually store a whole lot more food, especially if you have very little space. And then once you put water back in it, or cook it in water, or cook it in sauce, it restores it back to life. And then boom, you've got yourself a meal. Again, go to marfooglenews.com/prep. The reason why we recommend this is because not only they have some of the hugest sales, they were doing for a while, they're the $200 off on a 3-month supply. But you'll have to go check for the most recent sale. If you use marfooglenews.com/prep, you will automatically get any discounts associated. So again, go check that out. A 3-month, again, is a great deal. Every time you get bulk with these guys, they do the craziest deals. But you can get all the way down, of course, a single meal or a 72-hour kit. So go over and check it out. Jeff B., referral was sent to Bondi to revoke citizenship. Again, Julius, the GOP has a strong case for getting him out of the country. He lied about not supporting on his citizenship application. Oh, there is an anti-communism law that may disqualify him. Yeah, I know that there's a lot of controversy about it in general. We'll actually see what happens. Some say he just won very, very easily. And then Gillian Mason, thank you. Bones Jones, Cheryl Liao, thank you. Kathy NC, thank you so much. Susspot, thank you. Says, yo, hit the like button, yo. Hey, thank you guys for doing that. Every YouTuber asks to hit the like button. You guys know I don't remember that ever. So thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you guys for giving us a chance. Some of the new names here. All right. And then U.S. intelligence concludes that Pakistan is developing nuke that could reach America. So Pakistan and India, of course, had their little back and forth. But this is kind of odd because, this is something where it seems like Pakistan is a puppet of China. What are they doing with this, and why are they going to have that? If Pakistan creates an ICBM that can reach the United States, they would immediately become adversary. Dex, what's your opinion on this? I shared mine during our short over on Marfoogle News.
At first, my first thought is like, what are they trying to defend? Like having nukes, I get it because they wanted to defend themselves against their local neighbors, specifically India. Like how far do they need to reach? How far does it go? And I don't think it makes a lot of sense that Kim can launch a nuke all the way to the U.S. How far should it be able to go? Like we shouldn't. Personally, I don't think we should be proliferating any nuclear weapons anywhere. Like I get it. Like it's safer to think that some countries that have proven to be smart with them and not do anything bad with them or threaten them as much, can probably be, you'd be a little less concerned, but I wouldn't have no concern for them. And then other countries like Iran, who just makes the most, craziest statements and threats to other countries around them. You're like, yeah, maybe they shouldn't have one because they're crazy enough to actually, or at least the government that runs them is crazy enough to actually use it right away as soon as they get their hands on it. So I understand that. And but the whole idea of like, let's make them go further. What's their ambition? Are they, in a hurry to become number 3, number 4? I don't know.
Yeah, that's what doesn't make sense. Their main adversary is India. And why do they need it to go not only past India, but to go as far as across the oceans and into the U.S.? It doesn't make sense. It's a why. So what do you guys think? What is the angle here? I think that they're a puppet of China. I think that they will be an expansion of the China. I think it will be Pakistan, China, Russia, Cuba, Venezuela, North Korea. I'm probably missing at least, Iran. Those will be the main players in the world war. And I think Pakistan's going to join in. In India, surprisingly, is Russia's ally. But they're against them. So they won't be on the same side as Pakistan. India will be our ally, hopefully, in World War III. But we'll see. All right. And thank you. Thank you, K. Parker Frazier. 25 months. So you hit over 2 years. Blessing and much love, family. Hey, thank you. And then Jeff B. says, and have him brought back to Uganda. Stephanie Cook. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Kat. Thank you. God's Soldiers, thank you. Stephanie McMahon, thank you. Inquiring Minds, Carol, Milosh Schaefer, Sweatinum Ministry. I believe you are top supporter with a close second, right behind that being Inquiring Minds, and then third is Kat. So thank you guys. I appreciate you. Dex, thank you so much for your service tonight.
Much love. Great job, brother.
All right, you guys, have a wonderful night, and I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. It is now time for the outro. It's not a shoutro. It's not a shout-out. It is a shoutro. It is not a shout-out. It is not an outro. It's a shoutro. Is it the same one? You think you wonder. I said I wonder.
I said I wonder, is someone taking over under the golden dome? Wonder, the flag above ya, is it the same one you think you under? I said I wonder, the flag above ya, is it the same one you think you under? I said I wonder, is someone taking over under the golden dome?
Remember, if you're in chat, you'll get ported over. If you want to get to the next video or to go over to that Marfoogle News video over on our sister channel, all you have to do is click here.